There comes a time when you just have to pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what am I really holding on to? We hold on to memories, to comfort, to what could have been. But sometimes we forget to ask if what we're clinging to is really helping us grow or just holding us back. Let me tell you something that I had to learn the hard way. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you're finally choosing yourself. I know your heart is big. I know you gave it your all. Your love, your time, your energy. You stayed when you should have walked. You forgave when you were breaking away. You dreamed of forever when forever was never being built. But here's the truth. You are meant for more. You are meant for mornings that don't start with confusion, for nights that don't end with tears on your pillow. You are meant for someone who sees you fully and doesn't flange. You are meant for peace, not chaos. Growth, not games. You're meant for a love that doesn't require you to shrink just to keep it alive. And sometimes the greatest act of love you'll ever perform is letting go. Letting go of the fantasy. Letting go of the fantasy. Letting go of the weight. Letting go of the story you wrote in your head that didn't match the reality in front of you. Because when you let go, you make space for healing, for rediscovery, for the next beautiful chapter that's waiting on the other side of heartbreak. You don't need someone to complete you. You were already whole the day you were born. So tonight, if your heart is aching, if your mind keeps rewinding, if you feel stuck between the past and the present, say it out loud with me. I let go because I am meant for more. For the longest time, we're taught that letting go is losing, that somehow walking away means we weren't strong enough, that we gave up, or that we didn't fight hard enough. But let's be honest, how long do you have to keep proving your worth in places that can't even recognize your light? Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you're weak. In fact, it means the complete opposite. It means you're strong enough to stop watering something that stopped growing a long time ago. It means you finally realized your love, your energy, your time. They are valuable. And not everyone deserves access to that. You kept giving. You kept hoping. You stayed loyal to someone or something that wasn't meeting you where you stood. That's not failure, that's love, that's faith. But at some point, love becomes self sacrifice and faith turns into a prison. And that's where you draw the line. There's this silent kind of power in walking away, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself. And that doesn't make you selfish, that makes you brave. So when you let go, you're not losing, you're not quitting, you're not being dramatic. You're simply saying, I deserve better than this. You gave your all. Every part of you, your heart, your loyalty, your belief in someone who didn't always deserve it. You showed up even on the days when it hurt, even when your own needs were silenced. Even when your soul whispered, this doesn't feel right, you stayed because that's the kind of person you are. You love deeply. You fight for people. You believe in second chances, sometimes third and fourth ones too. And maybe you're still wondering if it was a mistake to give so much. Maybe you replay the past asking yourself if you were too much or not enough. But let me tell you something you might have forgotten in the middle of all that pain. Your love was not wasted. Your love was real. Your presence, your effort, your willingness to forgive, it mattered. Even if they couldn't hold it, even if they didn't cherish it, that doesn't change the truth of what you brought to the table. Don't ever let anyone make you feel foolish for loving hard. That kind of love is rare. That kind of love is powerful. And if someone didn't know what to do with it, that's not on you. That's on them. You didn't fail. You were enough. You just gave your everything to someone who wasn't ready to receive it, nurture it, or return it. But never ever regret being the one who loved more. Because love like yours, that's the kind that transforms. That's the kind that the world needs more of. You're meant for clarity, not confusion. Love should never feel like a riddle you're constantly trying to solve. You shouldn't have to decode texts, wonder where you stand, or lie awake questioning if you're too much or not enough. That's not love. That's not love. That's emotional exhaustion dressed up as romance. You deserve to wake up and know that you're wanted, valued, and chosen. Not only when it's convenient, not only when it benefits someone else, not only when they're lonely. You shouldn't have to beg for reassurance or shrink yourself to be more tolerable, more understandable, or more easy to love. You're not too complicated. You're not too emotional. You're not hard to love. You're just asking for something real, and that's okay. Someone who truly wants you will never make you question your place in their life. They won't keep you on standby while they explore their options. They won't give you half answers or hide behind vague words. They'll show up. They'll choose you with certainty, with consistency, with clarity. Because when love is right, it doesn't confuse you. It calms you. It doesn't keep you wondering. It keeps you grounded. And the truth is, you were never meant to live in a state of emotional chaos. You were meant to feel safe, seen. Sure. You don't have to settle for someone who makes you feel unsure just because your heart once wanted them. You deserve better than constant questions and mixed signals. You deserve the kind of love that answers back, loud, clear, and without hesitation. You are worthy of peace. Yeah. Not the kind of peace that comes for 5 minutes before the next storm, but real, lasting peace. The kind that allows you to breathe without holding your chest tight, waiting for the next disappointment. You've been through enough. The overthinking, the second guessing, the constant emotional back and forth, it's draining. That's not love. That's a battlefield, and you don't belong in the middle of a war just to feel wanted. You deserve quiet mornings without anxiety creeping in. You deserve nights where your mind isn't racing, trying to solve someone else's mixed emotions. You deserve to feel emotionally safe, to be heard, held, and understood without having to explain yourself over and over. Love should be gentle. It should feel like home, not like walking on glass. And if someone makes you feel like loving them means losing yourself in the process, that's not your peace. That's your warning. Your heart has been loud, carrying too much noise from someone else's chaos. But peace is when your heart finally whispers, "This feels right." And the beautiful thing is that kind of peace isn't found in someone else. It starts within you, the moment you decide you're no longer available for anything that hurts more than it heals. You don't have to fight every day to prove your worth to someone who can't see it. And real love doesn't make you beg for peace. It is peace. Letting go is an act of love. Maybe not the kind you're used to, the romantic, dramatic, at all cost kind of love, but the kind that says, "I love myself enough to stop breaking for someone else." That's a deeper kind of love, a braver kind. It's easy to stay. It's easy to keep hoping, to convince yourself that if you just love harder, wait longer, or try a little more, everything will fall into place. But the truth is, love isn't meant to feel like self-abandonment. Love doesn't ask you to lose your voice or question your worth in the name of loyalty. Sometimes the greatest strength you'll ever show is walking away. Not because you stopped loving them, but because you finally started loving you. Letting go isn't cold. It's not cruel. It's not giving up. It's giving in to the truth that you can't keep holding on to someone who isn't holding you back with the same strength. It's recognizing that your heart deserves to rest, not ache. And yes, it hurts. Saying goodbye to something you wanted so badly to work, something you built so many dreams around, isn't easy. But you can love someone and still choose yourself. That's not betrayal. That's growth. You're not closing a door out of bitterness. You're closing it out of wisdom. Because deep down, you know love is not supposed to cost you your peace, your joy, your future. So if you're scared of letting go, just remember, this is not the end of your love story. It's the beginning of the part where you finally love yourself enough to let real love in. Letting go of the fantasy is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Because sometimes we fall in love with the idea of someone more than the reality of who they are. Oh. We fall for the potential, the possibilities, the version of them we created in our minds, the one who would eventually grow, change, show up, love us the way we needed. But the truth is, potential is not a promise. And hope can turn into heartbreak when it keeps you tied to a version of the story that never actually existed. You told yourself, maybe if I just hold on a little longer, they'll see me, they'll choose me, they'll finally become who I know they could be. But how long can you keep loving someone's shadow while neglecting your own light? It's hard to accept that what you imagined isn't what you received, that what you felt wasn't always mutual. But staying stuck in a fantasy won't change the facts. You can't build a real relationship with someone who only shows up in your daydreams. And you can't heal in a story where your needs are always on pause. Letting go of that illusion means you finally see things as they are, not as you wished them to be. It means you stop editing the truth just to keep the dream alive. And yes, it's painful. You grieve not just the person, but the story, the imagined future, the alternate reality where everything worked out. But real healing begins when you stop waiting for someone to become the version of themselves that only existed In your hopes, when you let go of the fantasy, you make space for something real, something grounded, something mutual, something that doesn't require you to pretend things are okay when they're not. You deserve a love that's honest, not imaginary. One that's real in every moment, not just in the moments you dreamed of. You are whole on your own, and maybe that's something you've forgotten after pouring so much of yourself into someone else. Maybe the silence after their absence feels like something's missing. But let me remind you, you were never a half waiting to be made complete. You were never broken. You were never lacking. From the very beginning, you were enough. Before the heartbreak, before the confusion, before the love that left you questioning your value. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that their presence made you better, that without them, you were somehow less. But that was never the truth. You didn't find your worth in them. You simply gave so much of yourself that it became hard to tell where they ended and you began. And now, standing here in the quiet, you have to remember who you were before you started bending to fit into their world. You are not the version of yourself they failed to love properly. You're not the insecurities they triggered. You are not defined by what they didn't see in you. You are the late night thoughts that kept you strong, the dreams you held on to even in the chaos, the tears you cried in silence, and the courage you showed every time you stood back up. You were whole the moment you loved yourself enough to stay, even when they didn't. You were whole when you kept your heart open in a world that tried to harden. You were whole when you decided that your healing was more important than holding on to someone who made you feel incomplete. Loving someone else should never come at the cost of forgetting your own worth. You're not a missing puzzle piece in someone else's story. You're the entire picture, and the right love won't need to complete you. Fully, honestly, and without taking away anything that already makes you beautiful. You don't need to be chosen by someone else to be valuable. You've already been chosen by life, by the universe, by your own beating heart that keeps going even when it's tired. That's wholeness. That's power. That's you. And when you truly remember that, you won't chase anyone for love ever again. You'll realize you were never meant to be filled. You were always meant to overflow. Healing begins in the release. And maybe that's the part no one tells you. The part where growth doesn't come from holding on, but from the moment you finally let go. Because when you keep clutching something that's hurting you, even if it once felt like love, you leave no space for anything new to grow. We convince ourselves that healing will come when we get closure, or when the other person finally apologizes, or when we understand why things went the way they did. But sometimes closure isn't something you're handed. Sometimes it's something you create at the moment you decide that your peace is more important than answers you'll never get. There is power in the moment you stop reopening wounds just to make sense of them. There is freedom in no longer checking your phone for their name. There's a quiet kind of strength in no longer tying your worth to their recognition. And it doesn't happen all at once. Healing is messy, it's slow. Some days you'll feel strong, like you finally moved on. And then one song, one memory, one night of loneliness can pull you right back into the ache and the ache. But here's the truth. Every time you choose not to reach out, not to romanticize the past, not to chase after something that couldn't stay, you're healing. You're teaching your heart that it can beat for you now. You're learning to live without the thing you thought you couldn't live without. And that is brave. That is beautiful. You may not see the change day by day, but healing is happening underneath the surface. In the way your smile slowly returns, in the peace you feel when you wake up without them on your mind, in the way you begin to dream again, this time with yourself in the center of the story. Healing is not about pretending you were never hurt. It's about no longer letting that hurt define you. It's about finally choosing yourself, not out of bitterness, but out of love. Because when you release what's weighing you down, you rise. You rise into someone stronger, someone softer, someone who understands that the pain you went through wasn't the ending. It was the beginning of a deeper kind of becoming. You deserve someone who sees all of you, the raw, the radiant, the messy, the magical, and still chooses you every single time. Not just on the days you're easy to love, not just when you're smiling and giving, but also when you're silent, tired, guarded, or healing. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't ask you to perform, the kind that doesn't flinch when you reveal the parts of yourself that have been bruised by past pain.
You deserve a love that doesn't just admire your strength, but holds space for your softness.
That doesn't try to fix you, but stands beside you while you grow. The kind of love that meets you in the middle and never makes you question your place in someone's life. Too often, we accept less because we think our love will make up the difference. We believe that if we just keep giving, they'll eventually see our worth. But the truth is, you're never meant to fight for what's already yours. You are never meant to prove yourself to someone who should have seen you from the start. The right love doesn't feel like a battlefield, doesn't make you anxious. It doesn't make you wait for attention or wonder why you're not enough. The right person won't leave you in the dark just to see if you'll still reach for them. They'll show up with light, consistently, intentionally, without games or conditions. Because you are not too much, you are not hard to love, you are not something to be figured out or tolerated. You are someone to be treasured, protected, understood, and the love you deserve will never require you to dim yourself or doubt your value. The person who is meant for you will see your fire and won't fear it. They'll feel lucky to stand in its warmth. They'll see your complexity and not run, but lean in. They'll look at your scars and still find beauty. They'll look at your soul and say, yes, you, always you. You don't need someone who chooses you only when it's easy. You need someone who chooses you especially when it's not, because that's what real love is. Not perfect, but present. Not loud, but loyal. Not fleeting, but certain. And you? You are worth that kind of love. Always have been. Always will be. This chapter of your life may feel heavy, but it's not the end of your story. In fact, it might just be the beginning of the most powerful part. The moment you stop chasing what broke you and start chasing what builds you. The moment you stop begging to be understood and start standing firmly in your truth, whether anyone gets it or not. There's something sacred about the season after heartbreak. It strips away everything false. It forces you to face the mirror without the distractions. You see? And though it hurts, it also heals. It teaches you that strength isn't always loud. It's in the quiet decisions you make every day. To get out of bed, to keep going, to choose your peace, to protect your heart. You're going to rise from this overnight, not without tears, but with intention. With a grace, with a fire that says, I'm done settling. You're not just letting go of someone, you're letting go of doubt, of smallness, the part of you that believed pain was the price of love. You're going to fall back in love with life, with your dreams, with the sound of your own laughter. You'll decorate your space with peace. You'll walk differently, speak differently, feel differently, because this time you won't be waiting for someone else to make you whole. You'll already be everything you need, and someday someone might come along who loves you fully, who matches your energy, respects your soul, and never makes you question your worth. But the beautiful thing is, you won't need them to feel complete. You'll already know you are. Because the most powerful version of you is the one who stops asking to be loved the right way and starts loving herself in ways she never thought she could. The version who doesn't chase, doesn't prove, doesn't shrink. The version who knows I am enough. I've always been enough. And I'm just getting started. And when that version of you rises, there's no going back, only forward, only up. Only into everything you were always meant for. So if you're still holding on, let this be your sign, not to forget what you felt, not to erase your story, but to honor it by moving forward. You are not what you lost. You are what you survived. And every time you choose yourself, you're writing a new chapter, one filled with clarity, peace, power, and a love that begins with you. You don't need to look back anymore. What's ahead is brighter, what's next is bigger, and what's coming, it's meant for more, because you are meant for more. Let him go. Let the pain go. Let the doubt go. And walk boldly into the beautiful life that's waiting for you.